Warning: the content of the video that you are about to watch pertains to the harvest of fur-bearing wildlife through the practice of ethical, sound wildlife management of modern-day trapping. If this bothers you, if it triggers you in any way, shape, or form, please leave this channel now. Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. Guys, what I got for you today is a little more on the use of drags. I had a question on the last video about wanted to know if I ever use cable to connect my drags to my traps, and the answer is no. And here's the reason why. Okay, you want to make sure that these drags stay on the ground. Okay, that's very important. The last thing you want is these things skipping and hopping on you, and it's, believe me, even with chain, it's sometimes difficult to not have that happen, especially if you're in a lot of rocky type ground, uh, things like this. A lot of times too, if you're like in high weeds, high grass, the sweep and the broom here will pick up a lot of that trash, that grass, and it will then this thing becomes just a ski. It'll just slide across the ground and not leave any trail, any track at all. So it's very important to keep these drags down on the ground, and that's why I'm such a big advocate of using chain over the cable. Now, I'm not saying that you can't use cable. If that's what you have, that's what you want to try, that's what you want to use, then by all means go do it. I'm not telling you that you can't. What I'm telling you though is it's very important to have these stay down flat on the ground in order to leave a track, to leave a mark for you to follow. Um, The other thing is, if you're going to run a bunch of drags and run them exclusively, guys, I would suggest you get a good dog. It'll save you a lot of time. It'll save you a lot of headache. And there are some dogs that make great track dogs as far as drags, and there's some that just don't. They either got it or they don't. It's not anything you can train. It's just something they have to pick up. You can start them, but if they don't have that instinct, then it's not going to work. So you may go through a couple of dogs before you find a good one to work a drag. I've had a couple dogs that did. I've had a few dogs that didn't. Timber is starting to pick it up, but since I've gotten her, I haven't trapped any coyotes to speak of. I haven't used many drags. That's not her fault. That's mine. But the way the market is and the ground availability here in Iowa, or at least southeast Iowa, it's not feasible for me to run out here and try to trap a bunch of coyotes. It just doesn't work. The dog I had before her, Midget, she was a border collie terrier cross. She was good on drag. She wasn't fantastic, but she was good. The little dog I had before her, Reno, was a Jack Russell Terrier and absolutely loved drags. He was absolutely fantastic. I could pull up to a set, see the trap and drag were gone, kick him out of the truck, and he would instinctively start to make that 40 to 60 yard downwind sweep, pick that animal up before I even got everything out of the truck to remake the set. And the funny thing with him was he had two different barks. He had a bark for an animal that was there in the trap. He had a bark for an empty trap. If an animal pulled out or something of that sort, he had a bark for it. So you're not only trying to look for your animal, but you're also sometimes trying to locate the trap as well, especially if you happen to catch a deer, an elk, or something of that sort. They will a lot of times shake it off, and there'll just be an empty laid trap laying there. Now you've got to go find it, where if you've got a good dog that will work a drag, they pick that up for you and saves you a lot of time and a lot of steps. The other thing you have to watch with drags, and that's cats, coons too. A lot of times cats and coon want to go up instead of staying down on the ground. And if this thing doesn't hook up somewhere down on the ground, you got to start looking up. I've had several cats that were right there, could have swatted the hat off my head if they wanted to. Same way with coon, they'd have been right there. So when you're running drags, you don't always want to be looking on the ground, but make sure you check them trees too, just to be on the safe side. Anyway, guys, this is kind of a short video, and that's about all I've got for you. Like I said, if you want to try cable on them, I would, if I was going to do that, I would recommend nothing smaller than 1/8 inch, okay? And I would look at either the 7x7 or the 7x19, which is a little bit more limp and a little more forgiving. Doesn't want to kink quite as bad, and it'll lay a little better for you. So if you were gonna, if you were thinking about putting cable on your drags instead of chain, just because of the cost of it, that's where I would start. I sure wouldn't try 3/32, just because I wouldn't trust it. There's a lot of force here. Coyote or cat hitting the end of it. There's a lot of force there. They get it kicked up. They get it wrapped around things. I'm afraid you're going to have more trouble than what it's worth. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in and watching. If you would, please just hit that thumbs up for me. That's all I'm asking. Once again, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.